welcome you to Kansas City, Missouri, where tonight, Game 3 of this 4-game series between the team with the best record in baseball, the Houston Astros, at 42-17, taking on the Kansas City Royals at 25-32. The Royals snapping the Astros' 11-game winning streak with a come-from-behind victory last night. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Todd Callis alongside Jeff Blum. Glad you could join us for another night of Astros baseball. All-night games here in Kansas City during this 4-game series. Blum, our 11-game winning streak goes by the boards. What are the guys thinking about right now as they get ready for play tonight?
Well, I think the guys on the offensive side aren't going to panic too much. I know they have a tough task in front of them tonight, but they've been swinging the bats well. We'll talk a little bit about that in May, but this is a pretty resilient group. AJ has a good handle on these guys and expect them to hopefully turn it around tonight.
Before we talk about the offense more, actually let's talk about the offense now.
And the offense was good in May. In order to get those streaks going, you've got to have a good offense going. And we show the record for the Astros on this season, 42-17. How about the last year when they got that 17th loss? It was in the month of April where they went 7-17. So obviously a great start. No need to hit the panic button just yet with these Astros because the bats are going extremely well. We've talked a lot about how the offense can cover up some of the mistakes that are happening out of that bullpen. We saw a little bit of it last night where they scored 7 runs. It was unfortunate they gave up that loss, but they do have a nemesis in these Kansas City Royals. But about that offense on the season, one reason I'm not panicking is because they have the ability to put together some quality ABs, and you're seeing what happens when they do. 326 runs at OPS over 800 as a team, which is an astonishing number, but the on-base percentage extremely high. A lot of first place for these guys. They're going to continue to go out there and have quality at-bats no matter what's happening on that mound because they know if they score more runs than the other team, usually ends up pretty good for them.
So the Astros 35 games ahead of where they were the last season when they lost their 17th game. And Blummer, tonight, one of our storylines was going to be AL number 1 in ERA versus AL number 2. First time that's happened in either league in a dozen years, but we just learned 5 minutes ago that's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to change a little bit. And right before we were coming on camera, literally we heard that Dallas Keuchel is going to be scratched from this start for the Houston Astros due to illness. Dion Diaz is going to take his spot. The bullpen got roughed up last night. It's going to be interesting to see how AJ massages everybody in and out of that bullpen tonight.
Dion Diaz making his first major league start, and he literally just minutes ago found out about this. Keuchel is not going to go tonight, so that 9-0 mark in the best ERA in the American League will not be on the mound against the Kansas City Royals. We will have more as we continue on this Wednesday night from Kansas City, including Brian McCann, who is homering for kids. More on that with Julian Morales when we come back.
3 of this 4-game series between the Royals and the Houston Astros. Brian McCann will be behind the plate tonight, catching Diane Diaz's first career start. He's been a huge acquisition for the Astros this year, a 13-year veteran who has a great reputation for being an all-around good guy, but can also be a dangerous bat. We saw it right here on Monday night, had a great game against Ian Kennedy with the double that he shot to the other way, which he's been working on a lot, but he also had a big home run. It's been a while since we've seen him hit a homer. It was his 7th of the year, but this is a guy that's got consistent power. You see there, 9 straight seasons with 20-plus home runs. And with 7 already and a third of the way through the season, he is on track to do it again. But the long balls for McCann help his club, but they also help a great cause. It's the 46 Home Run Challenge, something he started 8 seasons ago, 46 representing the number of children who are diagnosed with cancer each school day. So with each home run, a donation from supporters, which could be you too if you go to this website, rallyfoundation.org, you could help out Rally Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization that all the money goes to childhood cancer research. It's something that's very dear to McCann's heart. You see all of his off-season events. You're looking at pictures from the now. There's a celebrity, a softball tournament that's a great time. He also has a nice dinner. The actual home run challenge has raised an impressive number of money. It's $219,000 over the 8 years that he's been doing that. But when you look at all of the things that he's done, the sponsors, the things he's sponsored and hosted, he's raised over $5 million towards childhood cancer research. Pretty impressive stuff. It was something that was Tom Glavine approached him about when he was starting his career with the Atlanta Braves, using this platform to do some good. He's certainly doing some good for those kids, but also with these Houston Astros, and we're going to get a look at him in just a few minutes. Coming up, we'll have the first pitch from right here at the K. Don't go anywhere, as we'll have more on tonight's starter.
Farm Supply, your John Deere dealer along the Gulf Coast. Come by one of our 8 area locations. Shop us all things John Deere. And by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Kansas City Royals taking on the Houston Astros. Game 3 of this 4-game series. Julian Morales, a change for the Astros late.
Yeah, a late scratch for Dallas Keuchel. Keuchel took the mound as usual, getting ready for his start tonight against the Kansas City Royals. However, about 5 minutes until 7, he made his way back into the clubhouse, guys. A bit of a scramble in the dugout as they made Diane Diaz aware that he would make the start. Keuchel officially scratched due to illness.
All right, thank you for that update, Julia. Dion Diaz will get his first major league start. Longest he has gone in any game this season at the major league or minor league level is 2 2/3 innings. So unfortunate circumstances for A.J. Hinch to begin tonight's play without his ace Dallas Keuchel, who is not going to start due to illness. Let's take a look at the Southwest Airlines Astros starting lineup with George Springer at the top, followed by Josh Reddick and Jose Altuve. Carlos Correa bats in the cleanup spot. Carlos Beltran is the DH. Brian McCann behind the plate. Yuli Gurriel at first base. Alex Bregman at third. And Jake Marisnick is in center field.
One part of what was supposed to be a great matchup between number 1 and number 2 as far as ERA is concerned is Jason Vargas going for the Kansas City Royals. You see that ERA at 2.08. He is in second place behind Dallas Keuchel. Very good whip. Opponent batting average very low. Creates a lot of soft contact. He is a fastball changeup guy. Here in recent days, though, we've seen him up the curveball usage a little bit. And in comparison to last year, it's up about 5%. But the Astros right-handers saw him earlier this year when they faced him, and they took a loss to Jason Vargas because he went 6 strong, gave up 6 hits, only 1 earned run. He punched out 6, but was very heavy on the fastball changeup. Look for the Astros to try and take away that changeup and get him to get on that fastball in the strike zone. But they know that a lot of pressure is on them with Dallas Keuchel not starting this ball game. They're going to have to put up some runs.
Literally a minute or 2 before we went on the air, maybe even less than that, we found out Keuchel would not start. Did not end up throwing any bullpen pitches. Illness as Keuchel replaced by Dion Diaz. And A.J. Hinch is probably trying to figure out, how's my bullpen going to cover 27 outs tonight?
Yeah, it's one thing to figure out, like last night, how do you cover 3 innings with a beat-up bullpen? Now you wake up this morning and see that Dallas Keuchel at the start of this game isn't going to make it. Now, like you said, you've got to cover 9.
So we start this game with a strike from Jason Vargas. 0-1. George Springer with 7 home runs in his last 10 ball games. Has 6 leadoff home runs on the year. Now you're an Astros team that's not only trying to rebound after having an 11-game winning streak snapped, you're also trying to deal with the fact that it's a bullpen day when you thought it was your stud left-hander Dallas Keuchel on the mound. Shouldn't impact the offense, but it certainly changes the perspective of things. 2-1 count to George Springer.
They've got a big cushion in the division. No need to panic. Just try and find a way to fight through this game. Who knows? Maybe Dion Diaz lights it up.
And the reality is, too, Blummer, is you look at the schedule. Astros play again tomorrow to wrap up this 11-day, 10-game road trip. No off day, right into a series over the weekend against the Angels, and then right into a series against the Texas Rangers. Next off day will be a week from tomorrow. So
it's also important to note that we don't know exactly what Dallas Keuchel has. He could bounce back and maybe start immediately on that home stand. I'm not sure they're going to mess with Lance McCullers' rotation spot tomorrow.
2-2 pitch, swing and a miss by Springer. So Vargas starts off the game with a strikeout.
And as soon as we get all of the information, we'll pass it along to everybody.
And where I was going with that no off day theme is your bullpen's already taxed.
Yeah.
And now you're putting 27 outs, or at least 24 outs. Hopefully it's 27. Hopefully the home team has to bat in the 9th. That's a lot of work on an already stressed bullpen. Here's Josh Reddick, broken bat into center field. Josh is going to be on with a base hit. First pitch he sees of the night, sends into center field. He's a 1-out base runner.
Left on left for Josh Reddick, getting the start against Jason Vargas. Takes the first pitch he sees, up and in, fights it off. The way he's been swinging the bat lately, he deserves a couple of these drop shots. Got himself a couple of hits last night. Looking to get hot for the Astros.
Here's Jose Altuve. Speaking of getting hot, Altuve continues to roll on this road trip and on the road in general. 471 on this road trip. Altuve a 1-for-3 night last night, including a sacrifice fly. And he takes a called strike, 0-1. One and one the count to Altuve. Jason Vargas having himself quite a season. Best pitches per innings pitched in his last 6 seasons. 15.2 pitches per innings pitched. Altuve tries to bunt his way on, but bunts it right at the first baseman Eric Hosmer on the line. That is out number 2. So a runner in scoring position with 2 outs for Carlos Correa. Correa, reigning American League Player of the Month, having himself a nice road trip as well with 13 RBIs, playing game 9 of this trip. Astros will try and start a new winning streak tonight after having their 11-game winning streak go by the boards, one shy of a franchise record. Raymond Gutouan, who pitched in the 2nd straight game for the Astros last night, sent out. That was the roster move today. In hindsight, they knew they needed a fresh arm, but thank goodness they made that roster move tonight.
Yeah, how about that? Dion Diaz, good to see you, son. Hey, by the way, 10 minutes before the game starts, you're starting tonight. Because he probably showed up off the flight and said, Dallas Keuchel is pitching today. Thanks for having me in for the show. But now he's a part of it.
He is the show. Going against the guy whose ERA is just a little bit above 2. He has last pitch for Fresno on June 3rd, so he is well rested. Pitched in that game Saturday. Three and 1 the count to Correa. There's that curveball Blummer was talking about. Thrown that a lot more this season. Drops it in on 3-1 pitch.
Yeah, he's not going to give in, especially to these big boys right in the middle of the lineup. He'd rather risk walking them than making a mistake up out over the plate that they can hammer out of here.
Vargas threw that curveball 26% of the time in his last start. Fastball called, 3rd strike. Correa doesn't like it. Doug Eddings, the home plate umpire in general, has a big strike zone. Correa thought it was a little too big there. He is called out to end the 1st. Orioles coming to bat, and here's how they will line things up. As Ned Yost will have Whit Merrifield back at the top of the lineup, and Jorge Bonifacio hitting second. Lorenzo Cain, Eric Hosmer, Salvador Perez 3 through 5. Mike Moustakas, who walked it off last night with a 2-run home run. Cheslor Cuthbert, Alcides Escobar, and making his major league debut tonight for Kansas City, Ramon Torres.
There's Dion Diaz, fresh up from AAA, getting recalled. He's pitched in 17 games down there in AAA. Also does have an appearance. He pitched in that New York Yankees series in New York. But kind of an interesting dynamic with Dion is that Ned Yost set his lineup to Dallas Keuchel. So there's going to be a lot of right-handed hitters in this lineup for the Kansas City Royals. So hopefully Dion Diaz can use that to his advantage, throwing that fastball slider combination that he does have. But also keep an eye on the innings. Hasn't thrown over 2 2/3 innings this season, and he's topped out at 49 pitches in 1 appearance. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Astros handle this moving forward.
Fouled out of play. James Hoyt was used extensively 2 nights ago and then back-to-back last night. So another one of your long options is out, you would think, tonight. Chris Davinsky threw an inning and a third last night. Michael Feliz got some rest last night, but he's been used extensively lately as well. 0-2 pitch called, third strike. Well, that's about as efficient as you can get. 3 pitches, and Dion Diaz strikes out Whit Merrifield.
I think the mentality of Dion Diaz has got to be punching strikes as often as he can. There's a good look at that 4-seam release on our Mattress Firm Supermo. Staying on plane, just painting that outside corner.
Jorge Bonifacio moved up to the number 2 spot in the lineup to start this series for the first time this year. He's been there now for all 3 games. He fouls 1 out of play.
But getting back to that point, pump strikes. The more efficient he can be and the more he can use that defense, the better. And you don't want to walk too many guys, because number one, that gets your pitch count to spike a little bit and might get you out of the game a little bit quicker. And the defense can't defend that. At least if they're putting the ball in play, you give your defense an opportunity to pick you up.
Pitch outside for a ball, 1-1. Astros trailed the season series to Kansas City 3-2. KC winning 2 out of 3 at Minute Maid Park and splitting the first 2 games of this 4-game series. 2-1 the count. That fastball rides inside, is 3-1. In the air, right center field, Springer. George playing right tonight with Jake Marisnick in center and Josh Reddick in left. Springer puts it away for out number 2.
A couple of things also here at Kauffman Stadium. Not a bad place to go out and get that first career start. It is a big outfield, and then you turn around and you realize your center fielder, your everyday center fielder, is playing right fielder or playing right field, and you've got a center fielder who is a defensive replacement who can cover a lot of ground, and a guy out there in left field who has played some center field. So you've got some good range in the outfield as far as defense behind Dion Diaz.
Pitch is outside for a ball. It's 1-0.
And I tell you what, when you're in offense and you know you're going in to face a guy like Dallas Keuchel, you're going to be in there studying, you're going to be in there looking at video, you're going to try and look for tendencies, you're trying to look for weaknesses, and you spend a lot of time focusing on that guy because he's a number 1. And then you show up and you got to face a guy you've never seen before.
Not just the players. We were all ready to start talking about
We were excited about it.
We were excited. It hadn't happened in a dozen years. ERA #1 and #2 in the league this late in the season. Hasn't happened since 2005.
The Astros were involved with that. Roger Clemens and Chris Carpenter of the St. Louis Cardinals.
And two guys that don't throw overly hard, but have been very effective this year. 2-0 pitch is a strike. It's 2-1. And with Doug Eddings behind the plate, and we already saw it on Carlos Correa, pretty wide zone, we were thinking, all right, Keuchel versus Vargas. This could be one of those 1-0, 2-1, 3-2 kind of games. Still could be. We'll see, but certainly a little different without Keuchel on the mound tonight. One pitch is fouled back. Astros in the outfield shade Lorenzo Cain the other way. George Springer in right field, a lot closer to the line than he would against most right-hand hitters. Stays 2-2. Ian Diaz, second appearance of the year for the Astros. Blummer mentioned his relief appearance against the New York Yankees. He was the extra guy in that doubleheader. Pitched in that game and went right back to Fresno. You're allowed an extra player on the roster for doubleheaders, and Diaz was the guy. 6 appearances last year with the Cincinnati Reds. Fastball just missed. Now the count runs full.
Similar location that we saw Correa get punched out on.
On the ground, Bregman, a couple of hops. And Ian Diaz ends up with a 1-2-3 inning, throwing 16 pitches in the first.
And it's time to show you our Chevy stroke poll for the night. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Root Sports SW. Find our stroke poll. All right, we've got, it's an all-star question, I should say. How many Astros should make the all-star team this season? 1 or 2, 3 or 4, or is it more than 4?
That'd be awesome.
Altuve thinks everyone but him should be an all-star. He said that yesterday. They're starting to give each other love on social media too. That's pretty cool.
You know what that is? That's adorable.
It is. They're great. They're posting pictures of each other and telling fans to vote for them.
Carlos Beltran swings to the first pitch of the second inning and flies one to left field. Pretty deep. It's all the way in the corner before it's tracked down there. For out number 1, Merrifield makes the play. Well, I think, Julia, we're going to have an overwhelming consensus on this Stroh poll.
Yeah. You think it's going to be 100% 4+?
I don't think 100%. Because there's going to be some of those Hall of Fame voters that don't allow it to be 100%.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
But
the integrity of the sport.
I mean, without even talking about Marwin Gonzalez, who's missing another game today. Hopefully everything looks good that he may be back tomorrow. Without even talking about Marwin Gonzalez, you've got Springer, Correa, Altuve, Keuchel, McCullers. Right there, that's 5.
Worthy.
Very worthy.
Yeah.
I don't think they're like fringy. I think they're all worthy. And then you've got Marwin, who does everything, plays every position.
Making a good case.
I think, yeah, more than 4 is going to be overwhelming. Brian McCann deep to center field. Kane all the way back to the track, to the wall, leaping, gone! Brian McCann to straightaway center field. Astros lead it 1-0.
Brian with a McCannon shot. He's been swinging the bat well. How about off the 2 guys with the hits already in this game? There's 2 hits. They're both left-handers off Jason Vargas, but right here an elevated fastball out over the plate. My goodness. Brian McCann feeling it right now. Launches that one to dead center field in a big ballpark like Kauffman Stadium to get the Astros on the board.
McCann had just moved into the top 10 in the history of the game in home runs when he hit a home run on Monday. 240 home runs now as a catcher. He breaks the tie with Roy Campanella and Yuli Gurriel into center field for a base hit. McCann now all alone in 10th place all time for home runs by a catcher with 240.
Take a look at it on our Supermo. 2-seam fastball. It looked like Vargas got on the side of it trying to cut it across the plate, but it just stays elevated on the same plane. And McCann does a great job of launching that to center field. 101.3 miles an hour off the bat with a 30-degree launch angle equals you a 421-foot home run.
Here's the thing to consider, and you feel it even up here, and I'm sure the fans do too. It's a deflator when Keuchel doesn't go to the mound. But consider the fact that this Astros team has gone 9 consecutive games scoring 6 runs or more.
And they've already dealt with Dallas being on the DL, missing a start anyways. Hopefully this is a little bit shorter than that stint, and he's able to bounce back pretty quick from this illness. But yeah, your offense should be able to encourage you. It's just a matter of A.J. Hinch trying to patchwork together some innings behind Dion Diaz.
An offense has not scored 6 runs or more in 9 straight games in baseball since 2004. And the Astros did it that year. It's a very potent offense, even against the guy who's second in the league in ERA. Now, Vargas pitched very well in his first outing against Houston, but over the years he has struggled against this Astros team.
Yeah, it's interesting. And just getting back to your point of scoring in bunches, I want people at home to understand that 6 runs a game is a ridiculous number against major league pitching. I don't care how good your offense is. That should not happen. That's how good these guys are going.
During the winning streak, it was even better than that. It was 8 runs a game, but at least 6 in 9 consecutive. As Alex Bregman has a 2-2 count. Alex is the one guy, and we saw McCann for a while struggle before he got to Kansas City. Alex is the one guy during this stretch that hasn't hit the ball as well as he'd like. He's in a 1 for 16 the last 5 games. Check of Yuli at first. But Vargas is a guy who's not going to overpower you, as we've seen. If you look at the radar gun, he's right around 86, 87 with his fastball. Very crafty, changes speeds, tries to keep you off balance. And the breaking ball stays outside and the count's full. So if you're Bregman right now, you're thinking I might see a pitch to hit. He's already allowed a home run and a base hit with 1 out. The count's full. Tap foul at the plate. Vargas 26 pitches in. This is something the Astros do well, as they'll put up some pitch counts on guys. We have seen them knock out starters in this road trip early and often. Yu Darvish 5 innings, Ian Kennedy 5 innings. Jake Junis last night only lasted 3 2/3. There goes the runner, pitches ball 4. Alex Bregman with a 1-out walk. Astros now with runners on first and second. And Jake Marisnick will bat for the first time.
Good job not expanding.
Is that tough when a runner in your peripheral is running to keep your zone locked in?
It shouldn't be. And I would never use it as an excuse. Sometimes you do recognize, but immediately, you know, obviously experience tells you to get focused back on that baseball. But you do notice it, yes.
Sometimes you see guys swing at pitches, and I've always wondered if there is could be a distraction factor.
It actually happens a little more often when the runner's at second base for obvious reasons. He's in the line of sight behind that pitcher, so it makes it kind of tough, especially when it's a right-handed pitcher and the guy's leading off behind him. And there's actually conversations sometimes where, like, hey man, could you, if you decide to steal third, do it earlier in the count so I have a couple more pitches to work with, because they don't want to have it in a 2-strike count where they get fooled and swing at a bad pitch.
Marisnick may have left his zone on that last swing. It's 0-2. Jake coming in with a .250 batting average, getting a start tonight after coming in on defense the last couple of games. Inside, 1-2.
Now looking at Jake's numbers, we know he gets the starts against left-handed pitching, but coming into this game against left-handers, he's only hitting .206. No home runs.
Not play against Vargas the first time these two teams met. Vargas pitched that game at Minute Maid Park. Pop up out of play. It's still 1-2. Jake has done most of his damage this year with the home runs. 6 home runs, 10 runs batted in. 87 plate appearances now for Marisnick, with those 6 home runs and counting. Last year had 5 and 311 plate appearances. Here's Vargas coming in, averaging that low 15.2 pitches per inning. He's already at 32 in the second, just 1 away. Two and 2. Astros have had some good takes in this inning. Towards left center field, Merrifield on the move, and he will make the play in front of the track for out number 2. Well, both outs in this inning have been pretty well hit. Beltran to the corner by the wall, and that one towards left center field. And the guy who is by far the best in baseball with runners in scoring position and 2 outs, Mr. .619 batting average in that scenario, George Springer.
It's not normal, Todd.
Next closest guy is below 500.
He stinks.
So, you know, George hopefully does not go 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position and 2 outs, but if he did, he'd still be leading the league. That's how far ahead he is of the rest of the pack. 13 for 19.
Does so many things well. That's a very good thing to be doing very well.
And a strike, 1-1.
And we've heard in conversations that he's had with Julia that he is primarily focused on driving runners in. For whatever reason this season, he has made it a main focus of his, and he's accomplishing it.
Second on the team in RBIs with 38 behind Carlos Correa with a team leading 40. And he's got a 2-1 count. Astros leading 1-0 on a Brian McCann home run in this inning. 2 runners on, 2 outs. And it's 2-2. Astros have scored multiple runs in all the innings they've scored in this series. 2, 2, and 3 in the first game, and a 3 and a 4-run inning last game. In this inning, they score a single run on the home run by Brian McCann as Springer strikes out to end the inning. Inning number 2, the Astros leading 1-0. Brian McCann hitting a home run to give Houston that 1-0 lead. McCann's 8th of the season. And if you're just joining us and you're saying, where is Dallas Keuchel? He was a late scratch in this game a few minutes before the game. Dallas Keuchel feeling ill, so Dion Diaz gets the start tonight. Diaz had a 1-2-3 first inning as he goes to work against Eric Hosmer, Salvador Perez, and Mike Moustakas. First pitch misses to Hosmer, 1-0. Hosmer in last night's game went 3 for 5 with 3 opposite field hits. He leads the American League in that category with 29 opposite field hits, second in the majors. Called strike, 1-1. Hosmer starts the night hitting .315, just barely ahead of Carlos Correa in the top 10 in the American League batting title. Jose Altuve coming in at number 7 at .326. Gene Segura, who just signed a nice deal with the Mariners, leading the AL, hitting .341. 2-1 pitch is fouled out of play. The 8-year-old Dion Diaz for Colombia in the World Baseball Classic. has been almost exclusively a reliever throughout his minor league career. We mentioned this is his first major league start. He did start one game last year for Louisville, the AAA team of the Cincinnati Reds. Prior to that, his previous start came at the rookie level for the Cubs in 2013. He's made a total of 12 starts in his minor league career and 216 appearances before this season. On the ground, 2 big hops. Gurriel will flip it to Diaz for the first out.
A reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Good slider to get Hosmer out by Dion Diaz. Hosmer's been wearing out Astro pitching, hitting .348 coming into this game this season against the Astros.
Now Diaz will face Salvador Perez. And a line drive into left field. The Royals have their first base hit. Perez having a good series against the Astros, a 1-out base runner. Now 5 for 9. The first 3 games of this 4-game series. Now bring up Mike Moustakas. A number on your right is a little bit gaudy, 556 against the Astros this year, including a 4-hit game last night, 2 singles, a double, and the walk-off home run.
Getting to know is presented by AARP. Moustakas up there. We're going to look at his hot cold zone since May 25th. That down and in zone is usually a happy spot for left-handed hitters, but we've seen in this series that Moustakas obviously hits a slider down the middle pretty good, but he's also turned on a couple pitches up. But he is definitely a pull hitter, a majority, and I mean almost every hit he's gotten has been up the middle to the pull side. And some obvious people down in that dugout not happy with Doug Eddings. Could be Doug lack of edgings working behind home plate.
Like it. He is definitely a pitcher's friend for the most part. Tends to give a wider plate than some. And Diaz ahead, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
There's some of those hits I was talking about. 14, only 20 hits up the middle the other way. The other 36 to that pull side. He is looking to get the head out.
With that in mind, Alex Bregman plays almost in the middle of the diamond. Nobody else on the left side of the infield. And a swing and a miss. Dion Diaz picks up a strikeout as Moustakas goes down. Second strikeout for Diaz. 2 outs in the second.
Good spot. Heater away.
Cheslor Cuthbert, the batter, playing third base for a second consecutive night. Moustakas played third base to start this series. And Cuthbert takes a called strike, 0-1. Cuthbert right in the middle of that 4-run rally by the Royals last night that tied the game at 7. He had a little base hit over Altuve's head in the shallow right field. And he hits a line drive over Bregman's head. Josh Reddick will play it off the wall, and he kind of stays on the wall, and that allows Salvador Perez to head around third, and he will score. One game on the RBI double off the bat of Cheslor Cuthbert.
Yeah, that baseball hugging the wall down there in left field is what allows Salvador Perez to get around there. Not a very good base runner, Salvador Perez. We saw him get thrown out at home plate last night. And the reason Cheslor Cuthbert is in this lineup today is because he had great numbers against Dallas Keuchel. Now trying to put some good numbers on Dion Diaz.
Looked like Reddick was anticipating that ball to come off the wall a little bit harder than it did. It just kind of sat there, and Perez not with great speed, but able to score all the way around from first base. So here's Alcides Escobar. 1-1 game now. Escobar takes a pitch down low for a ball, 1-0. Base hit into right center field. That'll score another run. Springer tries to cut it off and does. That limits Escobar to a single, but it's now 2-1 Royals.
Pretty good piece of hitting by Alcides Escobar. Doesn't have great numbers on the season, but here in this series getting a couple of key knocks. Also has a bunt to drive in a run.
He was 1 for 17 before that base hit, and the one hit being in this series, that little bunt single. So here's Ramon Torres. This is his first major league plate appearance. 24-year-old. Just called up today from AAA Omaha. Takes a pitch down low for a ball, 1-0. All along, Torres was thinking, the first pitcher I will face in my major league career. Won a Cy Young a couple of years ago and is throwing like potential Cy Young Award winner in 2017. And he was thinking he was going to bat right-handed, but instead he's batting left-handed. Switch hitter against Dion Diaz. And a throw to first. Escobar back. Dallas Keuchel does not make the start due to illness right before the game, and a much taxed bullpen for the Houston Astros will get their share of work tonight, with Diaz getting the start. Dion threw 16 pitches in the first inning. He's up to 17 this inning. May have heard Blummer say earlier he did not throw more than 50 pitches or more in any outing so far this season. We're not sure how far he can extend it tonight. Torres down in the count, 1-2.
Yeah, I would imagine every time Dion Diaz goes into that dugout, he's going to get sick and tired of hearing the question, how do you feel? Because that's what they're going to keep asking him. As long as this game stays relatively close, he's going to be in that ball game trying to eat up innings. But there might be a shuttle going between here and Fresno in the next couple days too, unfortunately.
He has just called up from AAA Fresno. A fresh arm in the bullpen. Ramin Gudwan sent out. Gudwan did very well in his outing here on Monday night, helping preserve a lead for Mike Fiers and the Astros. Gudwan not as effective last night after a strikeout of Eric Hosmer. Next two runners got on. He left the game and they both scored. On the ground, off the glove of Gurriel. Altuve gloves back to Gurriel, and that's an out. Ramon Torres bidding for his first big league hit. It goes Gurriel to Altuve, back to Gurriel, and that'll end the second inning. Royals score 2 and Kansas City leads at 2-1.
power player is Josh Reddick, who's going to lead off this inning last night with a big night. Fortunately, it came in a loss, but good for Josh to get that bat going at 3 hits. You know, you've been watching the Astros during this streak. Reddick's numbers are not where you'd want them to be. He's struggling just a little bit, but was still hitting the ball pretty hard. It was more of a tough luck situation, but the at-bats for him, guys, were pretty impressive at times, too, and drawing some walks in there that were big. I think back to that Minnesota series and that entire rally, the historical rally in the 8th inning really started with his walk. And that's who he's been in his career, guys. But Alonso Powell, just a quick chat with him the other day, that, you know, really admires the grind of Reddick every time he steps in that box.
I agree with Alonso, and that is well put, Julia. This is a guy that will absolutely grind you on the bases, at the plate. He is a worker. He's reached base 15 straight times with that base hit his first time up.
I think he relishes in having that label. He loves it. It's one of the dirtier uniforms you're going to see of all the guys. I'm shocked to see his helmet cleaned up. Usually that thing's covered in pine tar. But in knowing that his helmet's clean, I'm only speculating here, but it may have broken that helmet. He's a pretty good snap guy, too.
Yeah.
You got to be able to snap every once in a while.
He will. If he ever hits the ball on the ground, you will see nobody run harder to first base than Reddick every single time. And now, after being down in the count 0-2, 3 pitches out of the zone. So another lengthy plate appearance for Reddick. He was hitting into some tough luck, as Julia mentioned, in the top 10 in line drive percentage. There's one into center field, but this one's going to hold up as Lorenzo Cain makes the play for out number 1 in the 3rd. Jason Vargas, 34-year-old, happy to be healthy for the first time in a few seasons. He came off Tommy John surgery a couple of years ago, August 15th. Just 409 days after Tommy John surgery, he was back pitching, made 3 starts last September for the Royals. Now this is in his 4th year with Kansas City, really doing a nice job. Altuve around the bunt, takes a called strike.
2 ABs in a row. He got himself out bunting to Eric Hosmer in the first AB, and now here first pitch against Jason Vargas, he's trying to lay down a bunt, or at least thinking about it.
So you're thinking, okay, does maybe Jose Altuve not see the ball well out of Jason Vargas' hands? Well, he's 5 for 12 with a home run coming in. So that shouldn't be the case.
Well, those are low numbers for Jose.
417?
Yeah, I'm kidding.
417.
And it's on the road.
Plus he's on the road. Plus he's having a monster road trip. You add all them together and probably would rather see Jose swing the bat if you're an Astros fan here. It's 2-1. Last time he bunted one to Hosmer right up the first baseline for an out. In the air, this one towards Hosmer, and also the second baseman Torres. It's Hosmer who takes it for the second out of the inning. Faith and Family Night presented by Chick-fil-A is returning to Minute Maid Park this Saturday night. Enjoy a post-game concert featuring Mercy Me and live testimony from Lance McCullers Jr. and his wife Kara. Visit astros.com/faith for more information. Two outs, nobody on. Carlos Correa, the hitter. He was called out on strikes on a pitch he thought was off the plate his first time up. There's strike number 1.
Todd, you're implying you thought it was a strike.
I never saw it because we went right to commercial, so I never saw it on our strike zone.
It was up and in.
Was it?
Yeah. I'm a little particular to certain guys who like to swing the bat aggressively in counts, so I was a little disappointed he went down looking.
Vargas pulls the string there and ahead 0-2. Vargas has also pitched with the Marlins, the Mets, Mariners, and Angels in his career. Ground ball towards third, backhanded, a long throw in time to get Correa. Play made by Cuthbert to end the inning. First 1-2 inning for Jason Vargas.
Plans to bring the whole family to see the biggest matchups or get the best midweek deals by visiting astros.com/mini-plans. Todd.
All right, Julia. We head to the bottom half of the third inning. Top of the order due up for the Kansas City Royals. Royals scoring 2 runs in the second against Diane Diaz, who got the emergency start tonight for the Astros. He headed the bullpen just minutes before the first pitch to start warming up, as Dallas Keuchel felt ill before his start. Keuchel came out of the dugout, was headed towards his normal pregame routine, and then did not feel well. Diaz was summoned to make the start, and now he is approaching his pitch limit as he's thrown 35 through 2 innings. Again, the longest he's gone this year in the minor leagues is 2 2/3, and his highest pitch count is 49. So with that in mind, the Astros start the inning with bullpen action going.
Well, and this is the second time this lineup is going to face Dion Diaz, so it's a little bit of a learning curve to see what the Royals do in trying to adjust to what Diaz has.
And because it was a lineup stacked with righties, only 2 lefties in the lineup, and a switch hitter, ball into right field. Springer heads back. George is there and makes the play for out number 1. Normally it wouldn't be an ideal setup to bring a lefty in with all these righties, but when we went through looking at the pitcher usage the last few days, Tony Sipp by far the most rested in the Astros bullpen, and he's the guy warming up right now.
He is warming up, and they're going to keep a close eye on Diaz, but when Tony Sipp comes in, you better know that they told him to anticipate pitching more than 1 inning. They're going to try and extend these guys as far as they possibly can without letting this game get out of hand.
It is an all hands on deck bullpen day for the guys that are available to pitch. And there's a pitch down low and away to Jorge Bonifacio, 1-0.
Marlins got that bad left hand. I know he's available to come off the bench, but can he throw? Wouldn't have to grip a bat. You just have to catch the throw back from the catcher.
Fouled out of play. It's 1-1. Line drive, foul down the first base line. Took out Rusty Kuntz, the first base coach. 1-2 the count.
Do they paint the coaches' boxes on the field just for effect?
Yep.
That's all they are, is just eyewash. Been a little bit of a changeup. That was a good pitch, but there's the coach's box, quote unquote. There's no coach in either of those boxes. That doesn't even count as a general vicinity. I'm calling down.
Diaz gets Bonifacio for the second out, and that is the 3rd strikeout tonight for Dion Diaz.
Good pitch by Dion. Working pretty good. He's got 2 outs here in that 3rd inning. Great look at the split finger on our Supermo. See that tumbling action. It's a change in velocity, and it is a pitch that creates a tumbling action that bottoms out when it gets towards that hitting zone.
Here's Lorenzo Cain. Pitch is inside for a ball, 1-0.
I'm sorry. I just giggle when a pitch is a fraction off the inside corner and guys go dancing out of the way. That one got me.
That ball's hit well to center field. Marisnick in a full sprint, looking up, gone. Lorenzo Cain snaps an 0 for 10 with a solo home run. His 4th home run of the season. It's now 3-1 Kansas City.
That was a pretty good laser off the bat of Lorenzo. Fastball right down the heart of the plate. Lorenzo Cain knows what to do with it. Timed it up nicely and barreled it.
Dion Diaz ends up matching his longest outing of the season. This one coming at the major league level. His first big league start in emergency fashion ends after 2 2/3 innings. Tony Sipp, the new pitcher, will be back after this. With a solo home run off the bat of Lorenzo Cain. That would be the last batter Dion Diaz faces tonight. And A.J. Hinch goes to his bullpen for the lefty Tony Sipp.
Last time Tony was out there was on the 4th against Texas. He went 2/3 of an inning, gave up 1 hit, had 1 punch out there, 17 pitches. He is going to have the opportunity to stay in this ball game, hopefully for a little bit of time. Fastball slider split. Almost an even split in fastball slider against left-handed hitters. The average against that fastball for left-handed hitters is .333. Against that slider, they're hitting .182.
And Hosmer fouls off the first pitch he sees. Sipp in here to face 2 out of 3 lefties. If and when they get that far, it's 2 out of the next 3. Hosmer, Perez, Moustakas, but Tony's actually done a good job this year against right-hand hitters. Over the seasons, he's been equally effective against lefties and righties, but this year he's been tough on righties. In the air towards left, Josh Reddick is there, and that'll do it for the Royals in the 3rd. They add a run on a solo home run by Lorenzo Cain. Kansas City leads 3-1.
Back where it all began here in Kauffman Stadium in that Royals uniform. He's looking pretty frisky out there, running the bases, legged out. Infield fielder's choice, put himself in scoring position, then sprinted home and made a phenomenal slide to score that run. Did this the little bit easier way. Done it quite a bit in his career, launching that slider out of this ballpark. A couple runs on that home run as you see him creeping up all-time leaderboards for switch hitters and all-time in Major League Baseball. Extra base hits as a switch hitter. Tied him up with Chipper Jones, also known as Larry.
44 away from the all-time best in Eddie Murray. Carlos has a couple of extra base hits in his career against Jason Vargas. In fact, he has the best numbers of any of the Astros against Vargas lifetime. He's now 6 for 13 with a double and a home run.
Carlos has yet to hit a home run from this side of the plate.
Wouldn't be a bad time for it. He's 2 behind. Next man on the list in the home run total. He is currently 49th all-time in home runs, and he's 2 behind Cal Ripken Jr. for 48. Off the end of the bat, foul, and it counts 3-2. Beltran, Brian McCann, who hit a home run his first time up, and Yuli Gurriel. Astros down 3-1. They've already gone to their bullpen. Diane Diaz, emergency starter tonight for the Astros, lasted 2 2/3, and now Tony Sips come out of the bullpen. 3-2 pitch in the air to right field. That's a long run, and Bonifacio will not get there. It falls, and Beltran heading to second. He is there to lead off the inning.
It's veteran hitting. Knowing the location to drop that. Just in front of Bonifacio for another extra base hit. You see it off the end of the bat. It's also important to note that Vargas throws under hitting speed. That's why some of these Astros are having a tough time trying to square him up. It's all about location. Heck of a job by Carlos Beltran, and there it is. 549th career double.
Saw that he ties Chipper Jones in the doubles category, and he passes Chipper overall extra base hits. He's now alone in second place in career extra base hits for a switch hitter. Only Eddie Murray ahead of him. Ryan McCann takes a breaking ball inside, 1-0. Waiting to see how they were going to rule that, because it kind of got away from Bonifacio, and Beltran hesitated before heading from first to second. They do rule it a double. On the ground, fair ball down the right field line. McCann with another RBI tonight. He has both runs driven in for the Astros, who now trail 3-2.
Brian McCann's going to see his numbers against lefties rise a little bit. Back-to-back hits, home run that first AB, and now an RBI single going down that right field line. 70-mile-an-hour pitch. That might have been the changeup. A good job by the lefty. Came into this game hitting .259 against lefties with 3 home runs. Now he has 4 home runs against left-handed pitching.
And ball 1 to Yuli Gurriel. Yuli singled his first time up. Mentioned Vargas is not overpowering with that fastball coming in around 86, 87, at times lower than that. Lefties have done some damage against him.
Takes away that changeup. He has a very good changeup, much like Tom Glavine, guy I faced coming up. So there were some switch hitters that would actually hit left-handed against him to take away that changeup, because they knew he didn't have a very good breaking ball. So they could sit on that fastball. There's that changeup breakdown. 4th highest in Major League Baseball, but the reason he does that is because the average is so low against it. Averaging 86.3 miles an hour on the fastball. That's not the changeup. That is a fastball.
Lance McCullers throws his power curve harder than Jason Vargas throws his fastball. See McCullers tomorrow. He missed there, trying to spot another changeup away against Yuli Gurriel, and the count's 3-2.
Tough pitch to lay off.
Lefty's 364 coming in. Righty's just 199 this year against Vargas. And a called third strike. Yuli doesn't like the call. He is caught looking for the first out of the inning. That's 4 strikeouts for Jason Vargas.
I thought that was a pretty good pitch. It is down right around that nape of the knee. Catches the edge. And you talked about Doug Eddings, a home plate umpire, has a little bit of a pitcher's zone. If you're a hitter, you get scouting reports on umpires, and if you play long enough, you have experience with some of these umpires, so you can anticipate the situations. And when you get 2 strikes with a guy who's going to start ringing people up, you might as well expand a little bit off those edges and try and keep that from happening.
Here's Alex Bregman, walked his first time. Both of the Houston runs have been driven in by Brian McCann. Solo home run in the second, RBI single in this inning. And it's 2-1 to Bregman. Popped up, shallow center. Kane comes in. Lorenzo makes the play for out number 2. Here's Jake Marisnick. Flied out to left his first time. Pulls the string on Jake, 0-1. Vargas pitched a complete game shutout in his last outing. Went the distance against the Indians, 7 hits, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. Threw 103 pitches to complete that game. And Marisnick down in the count, 0-2. ERA at home is an impressive 1.59 coming into tonight, but the Astros have put a couple of runs on him here in the 4th inning. And they've also put 73 pitches on him so far. And he gets Marisnick for the final out. 5th strikeout for Vargas. We are through 3.5. It's 3-2 Kansas City.
This is powered by Kubota. David Paulino last night picked up the Astros going 6 strong, but you see the numbers in those last 2 starts going 9 2/3, 12 punch outs to only 2 walks. He's doing a great job of staying around the zone. We hear AJ preach about it a lot. Getting ahead with that fastball allows you to get to those secondary pitches. Those secondary pitches for Paulino with the slider, curveball, changeup have been quite good, and they needed him to go deep last night. Did a good job. The bullpen just let him down.
He would next be scheduled to go again on Sunday, final game of the weekend series against the Angels. That is also the spot that Joe Musgrove hopes to return. So we'll see if it's Paulino or Musgrove. Might have more information tomorrow on Joe. As Salvador Perez leads things off in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Tony Sipp, who needed just 2 pitches to get out of the 3rd, starts Salvador Perez off with a pitch out of the zone, 1-0. Perez singled and scored a run his first time up. One and 1 the count. Astros trying to start a new winning streak tonight after having their 11-game streak go by the boards. They were up 7-1 in last night's game, and the Royals kept chipping away 7-2, 7-3, and then the 4-run 8 to tie it at 7. Before the walk-off by the guy on deck, Mike Moustakas, to win it 9-7. Perez was instrumental in that 9th inning. A little base hit to right field against the shift. With 2 outs, set the table for that guy, who with 15 home runs is not far away from his career high of 22. In the air to center field. Marisnik on the move, still going all the way back to the wall. He plays it off the wall. Salvador Perez on base again with a double. He is 2 for 2 tonight. He continues to wear out the Astros in this series. Perez is now 6 for 10 with 2 doubles.
Tony Sipp threw a good slider previously to get a swing over the top. This one doesn't break down and in where he wanted it. Stays towards the middle part of the plate. Salvi Perez goes down and gets it. Barrels it up nicely.
Moustakas has that average up to 273, hitting over 400 on this homestand. Tigers were in for 3, Indians in for 3, and now the Astros. Royals are dead even 4-4 on this homestand as Moustakas swings and misses at the first pitch from Sipp. Tony's longest outing of the season came against the Miami Marlins. 34 pitches on May 16th, went 2 2/3. Astros would love to see Sipp go at least an inning and a third, and possibly as many as 2 1/3 tonight. Ian Diaz pitched the first 2 2/3 innings, and AJ Hinch and Brent Strom trying to put the puzzle together for the rest of this game. And it's 2-1. That outing in Miami was not only the longest of the season, the longest of Tony Sipp's career. Two and 2 the count. Here you see some of the bullpen availability. Will Harris, when he pitched Monday, had been used in 3 of 4 games. Michael Feliz extensively used in back-to-back games. Hoyt has pitched the last couple of games. Cue towards Bregman. Alex makes the play. Sipp doing a nice job covering third with the shift on, making sure Salvador Perez didn't think about advancing. 1 out.
That was not an easy play. Being down there at third base, get one cued off the end of the bat like that, comes at you the funky hop. It's a crazy spin, but a good job of staying with it by Alex Bregman.
Kessler Cuthbert, the batter, takes one away. 1-0. Coming into this game, right-hand hitters were just 3 for 24 against SIP on the season. So far, he's faced one righty, Salvador Perez, doubling into center field. Now facing Cuthbert and Escobar, a couple of righties back-to-back. That's off the end of the bat, 2-1. Last night was our Twitter Tuesday, and we appreciate everybody who responded. We had a lot of responses to our theme of superstitions in the game of baseball. Both on the field, watching the game. Astros had a long winning streak going. Unfortunately, the Royals spoiled that last night. Some people were saying, well, maybe the superstition theme changed the luck of the winning streak. And the one thing we didn't get into last night is neither one of us believe in the broadcaster's jinx. So unfortunately, I know that's a big topic for a lot of viewers, but
I had no idea when I took this job about the broadcaster's jinx until I got in the booth and people started hollering about some ability by people sitting 150 feet up in the air have on the game. I had no idea. I know when I played, I didn't. Maybe I should have blamed the broadcasters for a couple 0 for 4s. I don't know. But yeah, that one, jinx. My gosh.
As well as the Astros have played this year, if we could control things, they'd be undefeated.
That would make our job so much easier. I mean, it's easy as it is because his team's great. But yeah, if we could jinx things, we would definitely jinx on the side of undefeated.
2-2 the count. Nope. We had a situation on Monday night, a big spot. Brandon Moss was batting against Will Harris. Brandon Moss was 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts against Will. Had he hit a home run there, it wouldn't have been because that stat was mentioned. It was because you're saying one pitcher is throwing to a hitter who doesn't see the ball well out of his hand. As it turns out, Harris struck out Brandon Moss.
Well, that's probably the funniest thing about the jinx comment. Good pitch by Tony Sipp, and even better play by McCann to get that punch out and tag. Is that more often than not, and even watching other games, things do happen. Baseball's a crazy game, but obviously I have opinions because I'm sitting in the analyst chair, but more often than not, the numbers that we throw out are facts. And I don't understand that you got to blame the facts for being jinxed, not because we repeated a fact. That's what cracks me up. That's funny stuff.
I knew tonight I shouldn't have said Dallas Keuchel looks healthier than he's ever looked all year.
That was your bad. You jinxed it.
That did not happen. If you're just joining us, Dallas Keuchel did not make his start tonight due to illness right before the game. But honestly, we do appreciate not only last night's Twitter response, we appreciate it every Twitter Tuesdays. It's been pretty popular this year.
And I will never say do not tweet at me or anybody. I enjoy the fact that fans have the ability to watch and tweet at us and have that interaction. It's a good thing.
Absolutely. We love it. Keep it coming. Astros have their third relief pitcher of the night beginning to warm up. 1-0 pitch is fouled. 1-1.
Yeah, I know Julia has been very good about the social media interaction. I try and do my best. Obviously, I have a little more time than you do because you're actually working and doing play-by-play. But you've been very good about it too after games and stuff like that. So it's a real opportunity for us to stay engaged with fans throughout the course of the season.
I have not mastered the in game. Occasionally on a rain delay like we had the other night in Texas, I can engage. But in game, I do not have that ability. But you do a good job in between innings staying on top of things. But we do appreciate all the interaction. And that's something that's new in the last few years that has not been a part of baseball broadcasts in the past, is we can kind of interact through social media.
Well, and sometimes, you know, throughout the course of the game, things come up and we don't have an opportunity to really lay down and answer everybody's questions. So for me, it actually gives me an opportunity with everybody at home to tweet questions at me, and I try and get back to them as soon as I possibly can. But everybody has good quips every once in a while when guys go deep. You know, I got the McCannon ball the other day from somebody off Twitter, gave them credit for it. So I love it. It's great.
And we had one fan tonight, and we can answer this question, asking about Marwin Gonzalez as a write-in candidate, if it's ever happened before. I know there's at least been 2 examples. Steve Garvey was once a write-in candidate who started in the All-Star game. There's a base hit to right field. George Springer will make the play, but Salvador Perez comes around third. The throw comes home, and then to second base goes Alcides Escobar with his second hit of the night and also his second RBI.
And he is just wearing out that 2-hole on the right side. Shift, no shift. Altuve playing a standard second base position, and Escobar still shoots it through there. There you see Jose Altuve not in the shift. So you can take that argument out of it, but with the overthrow, Escobar goes into second base, advancing another 90 feet.
So it's now a 4-2 Kansas City lead. Alcides Escobar now with 15 runs batted in on the year, 2 of them tonight. So Garvey in the early 70s was a write-in candidate who started, and I believe Rico Cardi also started an All-Star game as a write-in candidate. But I'm not aware of anybody else. So it would be rare to get somebody like Marwin Gonzalez to start in a game. And it's even tougher now, as we have learned, because Marwin plays so many positions that his votes are kind of spread out through different spots on the ballot. Oh, and 1 the count to Ramon Torres. Torres now batting right-handed. His first major league at bat came as a left-hand hitter, switch hitter, 24-year-old, making his major league debut. In his first at bat, hit a ball off Yuli Gurriel's glove. It deflected to Jose Altuve, who made the play back to Gurriel in time to beat Torres by a stride. There's his first major league hit. Ramon Torres knocks in a run. He's heading to second. Escobar scores. It's now 5-2 Kansas City.
First base hit and first RBI. Not trying to do too much with it. Pitch right down the middle. It kind of gets blown up and fights it off the other way for that double.
So A.J. Hinch knew this would be a tough night to navigate his way through 9 innings on a bullpen night with Dallas Keuchel a late scratch. A.J. goes to his 3rd reliever of the evening. We'll tell you about Michael Feliz when we come back.
To add to that lead, right now they lead 5-2 over the Houston Astros. Join us this Sunday for the Astros Foundation Picnic in the Park. It is presented by Pluckers. Enjoy a picnic-style buffet, games, and an autograph session on the field. Proceeds benefit youth baseball and softball in the Houston area. Visit astros.com/picnic or call 1-877-9-ASTROS for more info.
New pitcher for the Astros, Michael Phillies, facing the top of the order, Whit Merrifield. Merrifield has struck out and flied to right. Whit has hit in 20 of his last 21 games, had a 19-game hitting streak snapped in the opener of this series on Monday. Phillies pitching for the third time in 4 days. He threw 25 pitches in an inning and a third on Sunday in Arlington. Threw 17 pitches in an inning here on Monday. And now coming on for Tony Sipp as the third Houston pitcher in this fourth inning. He has for 2 2/3, Sipp for an inning, and now Michael Phillies. And Phillies gets Merrifield to send a high fly ball towards George Springer in right. And that'll do it. But the Royals add a couple more runs and now have a 5-2 lead.
One, two, three, and hits in the major league since May 25th. Guess who? Your 1, 2, 3 hitters in your Astro order almost. Springer, Correa, Altuve. All 20-plus guys, but they have really been laying the lumber down here in recent days, months. But those are the expected guys A.J. Hinch was counting on that he talked about in April, who he was waiting to get hot. Now they're hot, and they've been tearing the cover off the ball.
Well, let's see if they can do any damage in this inning against Jason Vargas, facing him for the third time. George Springer leads off. George has had his share of trouble against Vargas tonight, a couple of strikeouts. Vargas has 5 strikeouts, and he's allowed 2 runs on 5 hits through 4 innings. Vargas coming off a complete game shutout through just over 100 pitches in that outing. Started this inning with 74 pitches. That pitch hits George Springer. That's the way to get things going. Springer hit on the foot to start the 5th inning.
These are the kind of guys you want to get hit by, too. Doesn't hurt. Bit of a slider down and in. Just yanked it a little bit.
So here's Josh Reddick, single and 2 at bats. And a called strike, 0-1. Astros down 3, but plenty of time to go. We're just in the 5th inning. Remember, the Astros are on a run right now, scoring at least 6 runs in 9 consecutive games. Slow roller. Vargas will flip it with his glove to Hosmer. Hosmer almost wasn't ready for that, but they get the out. On the play, Springer moves to second.
Looked like it did catch Hosmer by surprise, kind of breaking in on that swinging push bunt. He was waiting to see if Vargas got it. Expected Vargas to be a little more casual about it, and he wasn't.
So Vargas with the glove put out, and here's Jose Altuve. Pitch up high to Altuve for a ball, 1-0. Altuve left Minute Maid Park on this 10-game road trip and now has 16 hits since he left home. 16 for 35 on this trip, including a home run. Astros will be happy to head back to Houston after tomorrow's night's game. For the most part, 3-city 11-day 10-game road trips can be wearing on a team or a traveling party, but this one hasn't seemed so bad with all these W's being piled up.
Talk about pitcher strike zone. This is the previous pitch, the one you just saw from Jason Vargas, to a perennial batting champion in Jose Altuve. Well up out of the zone.
Barely a strike for Aaron Judge.
Good call.
On the ground, backhand stop by Cuthbert. Long throw, not in time. Altuve with an infield hit. On the play, Springer goes to third. Astros with runners on the corners and 1 out.
Pretty good read by George to advance the 90 feet with the third baseman diving into foul territory to make the play. Always at risk that maybe he jumps up and tags you out going to third base, but you could see George watching the third baseman. When he recognized he was going to lay out for it, he took his chance, and it was a good one. Good effort by Cuthbert, but really no shot for Altuve.
So now with the Astros down 3, Carlos Correa can tie it with 1 swing of the bat.
Did save a run by laying out there. If that ball gets past him, it's multiple bases for Altuve and George.
Altuve does lead the team with 11 steals, even though Salvador Perez is behind the plate. Teams have been able to steal against the Royals this season. First pitch to Correa popped up. Second baseman Torres makes the play, out number 2. That's a big out for Vargas and the Royals. 2 outs in the inning. Here's Carlos Beltran. Beltran 7 for 14 in his career against Jason Vargas, with a double his last time up. Called strike. Beltran with 8 home runs on the season. All 8, including last night's, as a left-hand hitter. Gets his first as a righty. We're tied. Out of play with Altuve on the move, and Beltran down in the count, 0-2. When Vargas beat the Astros his first time facing them at Minute Maid Park on the 7th of April, it was the first time he defeated Houston. His all-time mark is 1-2 with a 6.84 ERA. Altuve is barely off the bag, and Vargas keeps checking him. That was the fastball at 85. Guy that's averaged 15 pitches per inning this year is above that as Beltran pops one in the air into shallow left field. Coming on is Merrifield, and he puts it away. That'll strand 2 runners. Vargas and the Royals are through 5 with a 5-2 lead. Beautiful night here in the Midwest. Royals leading the Astros 5-2. Astros and Royals fans blending together here at Kauffman Stadium. Astros need a win tonight and a win tomorrow to take this season series against Kansas City. Royals took 2 out of 3 at Minute Maid Park, and the two teams splitting the first 2 of this 4-game set. Jorge Bonifacio leads things off against Michael Feliz and breaks his bat and drops a hit into right field. Feliz came on to get the final out of the 4th inning. He is the 3rd reliever being used tonight by A.J. Hinch. Emergency start for Dion Diaz. It went 2 2/3 innings. Tony Sipp for an inning, and now Michael Feliz. AJ and Brent Strom are looking at who they've used, what arms might be available to try and work through the remainder of this game. Lorenzo Cain hit a home run. That was the last batter that Diaz faced. Diaz allowed 3 runs. Sipp allowed 2.
That did not look like a conversation that any of us wanted to be in on.
Now this night had to be uncomfortable from the start for both A.J. Hinch and Brent Strom. From the moment Dallas Keuchel realized he was not healthy enough to make the start, feeling ill, they were in scramble mode.
A.J. has a very good relationship with his coaches, especially Brent Strom, considering how reliant they are on each other to get information about that bullpen, about starting pitchers, make sure everybody's healthy, getting the appropriate amount of work and appropriate amount of rest. And that's the issue right now, is trying to figure out who can handle some rest and who can be extended.
You know, we've seen, just looking at the roster, and Diaz obviously is a candidate as he's called up today, and Ramin Gudwan was sent down. We've seen kind of that last spot in the bullpen be a revolving door, but it would be tough to imagine more than one pitcher being added to the bullpen tomorrow. It's because other than Diaz, you're talking about guys who have been here the whole year, or in James Hoyt's case, been here for the large majority of the season.
And the situation the Astros are in right now kind of opens up something that was talked about during the CBA when the owners and players were talking about their collective bargaining agreement. Is there an idea of maybe a 26-man roster with a revolving spot?
One thing you could consider, as you looked at Diaz and last night's starter David Paulino, you could consider, if you know Joe Musgrove can make a start on Sunday, you could consider Paulino's spot.
Yes.
If that is determined by tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. A lot of wheels turning right now, not only here at Kauffman Stadium, but in the front offices of the Houston Astros. 2-2 the count to Lorenzo Cain. Just missed. It's 3-2. Told you Phillies is working for the third time in 4 days, so he may not be able to be extended as much as if he was working with full rest. But yeah, that 26-man roster has to happen at some point. I think it's for the health of players, if nothing else.
How about for the contracts of players? They would love that too. That's one extra, chunk of payroll for guys to go out there and earn a spot. But yeah, I mean, there are benefits. And I mean, they've already shrunk down the DL stints to 10 days. So that's something else that's going to be manipulated across the league in years to come, and especially later in seasons. We've already seen it done once with Dallas Keuchel going on there. But I agree that I think the 26-man, the way these bullpens are being used, because nobody is going deep in these games. We don't see nearly as many complete games or 100+ pitch games as we used to.
I'm being told we have video from before the game of Dallas Keuchel, and here it is. This is Keuchel right before the game, trying to loosen up for his start. Did not make his start due to illness. See him walking back to the dugout. That is not a sight you ever want to see going into what we were expecting was going to be a big matchup between Keuchel and Jason Vargas. And there you see A.J. Hinch removing Dallas Keuchel and putting in Dion Diaz. Apparently A.J. didn't have a normal pen because he highlighted Keuchel instead of crossing him out. But that's a tough night all around. You're trying to figure out 27 outs from a bullpen who normally on a Dallas Keuchel night you only need about 6 outs. Averages 7 innings a game.
Yeah, slight difference.
AJ got the most that he could out of Dion Diaz. And now it's up to the rest of the bullpen. There's a strike to Eric Hosmer. Michael Feliz has allowed a single and a walk in this 5th inning.
And everybody saw Colin McHugh on the bench, still just waiting him out till he can figure out if he's healthy enough to start throwing. It's going to be a while for him. I appreciate all the questions on Twitter, but I'm done talking about Colin McHugh until he is actually throwing off a mound against some hitters. And if you don't hear an update from management or from a coaching staff about a guy who's on the DL, that means he's not making very good progress, so they're not anticipating him being available anytime soon.
Well, they're slowly ramping him up. It's basically the beginning of his spring training.
That's a very good way of looking at it, yes.
And if there's a significant change when he's off the mound, or he's starting to think about facing live hitters. I'm sure Julia Morales will have the updates for us as we move along, but right now Colin just slowly ramping back into pitching shape. Strikeout for Phillies, getting Hosmer, 1 out in the 5th inning. Here's Salvador Perez. Perez has singled and doubled. He is 6 for 10 in this series against the Astros. On the ground, foul, 0-1. Strike 2 on the inside corner. Perez said, "Are you sure?" He said, "Yes." And he said, "Can my pitchers make sure we get that call too?" Always interesting when the catchers are hitters, finessing their need for a strike zone as a hitter, but also knowing they need to be with that umpire the very next half inning. That's away. 1-2. Perez leading American League All-Stars behind the plate in votes so far. And he goes down swinging there. So Feliz comes back after allowing a single and a walk to start this inning to strike out Eric Hosmer and Salvador Perez back-to-back.
League leaders are presented by Houston Methodist. Highest average in Major League Baseball since May 25th. Aaron Hicks is tearing the cover off the ball for the New York Yankees. And then the next 4 are Houston Astros, Correa, Altuve, Marwin, and Springer lining it up at 400+ averages. Good to see. Has a lot to do with some of the prolific numbers that we've seen from this offense, having those 4 guys in your lineup.
2 outs, 2 on. Here's Mike Moustakas. A lot of hot hitters in this series, including Moustakas, although he's 0 for 2 tonight. 4-hit game last night. We have seen Feliz used in multiple innings before this year. Again, he's working on 3 out of 4 games and threw 25 pitches and 17 pitches in his outing Sunday and Monday. Tonight, he's up to 20 pitches. 3-0. Last night was a case where they would have loved to have used Michael Feliz, but did not want to go 3 straight days with him. Fortunately for Raymond Gudwan and James Hoyt, who were very good on Monday night, Royals were able to put up 4 runs against them last night. 3 of the runs came after Hoyt left the game, bases loaded, and a double cleared the bases off the bat of Whit Merrifield against Ken Giles. The runs charged to both Gudwan and Hoyt. Now it's 3-1. Moustakas had a 3-0 green light. Up and in, ball 4. Bases are loaded with 2 outs. Mentioned Salvador Perez leading catchers in voting in the American League. If he gets that vote, it'll be his 5th straight All-Star game. Jose Altuve now leading at second base. Carlos Correa has made a big push to cut into Francisco Lindor's lead at shortstop in the AL voting. A couple of walks and a single have the bases loaded for Cheslor Cuthbert.
All the Royals runs coming with 2 outs. Michael Feliz looked dominant against Hosmer and Perez, and then lost Mike Moustakas and got himself in a little bit of a jam here.
Line drive right field. That's a base hit. 1 run scores. Here comes Kane being waved around. He will score. 7-2 Royals lead on a 2 RBI base hit by Cheslor Cuthbert.
Another pitch right down the middle to these Kansas City Royals hitters. And even though they don't drive the ball out of the ballpark that frequently, they can still do some damage.
Well, this is one of those games where, unfortunately for Michael Feliz, he is going to be asked a lot. 25 pitches in. In a different scenario, A.J. Hinch would probably not like to see him throw this many pitches in his 3rd game in 4 days. But this is not a normal situation. Astros trying to cover up this game with relievers after Keuchel unable to make his start. Here's Alcides Escobar. Trying to look back on the last time Michael Feliz has allowed a combination of 4 hits or walks in an appearance, and it has not happened this year. In this inning, he's allowed 2 hits and 2 walks. Did allow 3 hits in a game in Seattle and an inning and 2/3, but did not walk a batter in that outing. So this is the season high in terms of base runners allowed by Michael Feliz, and it's all come in the 5th inning. And it's 3-1. Now the bullpen starting to stir again for the Astros. Luke Gregerson. Escobar with a swing and a miss. It's 3-2. Escobar coming in batting .177, but he's 2 for 2 tonight with a couple of RBIs. They have chased ball 4. Strike 3 called outside corner. Escobar goes down on strikes. Royals tack on to their lead a couple of more runs. It's now 7-2. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. And by Jack in the Box. Come try the sweet or spicy barbecue bacon cheeseburger combo for just $4.99 for a limited time only. Kansas City, Missouri, where the Royals are leading the Astros 7-2 as we head to the 6th inning. Jason Vargas with his shortest outing of the season, 5 innings of work, matching a start he had against the White Sox in Chicago earlier this year. With a big lead and knowing he pitched a complete game his last time out, Ed Yost can go to his bullpen in the 6th inning. In this case, it's Mike Minor. Saw him in last night's game. And he starts Brian McCann off with a fastball up and in for a ball, 1-0. Minor pitched the 9th inning last night, allowed a single to Yuli Gurriel, and that's it.
Minor's got a fastball. He throws relatively hard for a left-hander, 92 to 94 miles an hour. Changeup, curveball, cut fastball.
And McCann loses the bat. It one hops up against the screen and back into the Royals dugout.
I'm not sure if that's the guy he was aiming for, but he got him.
And ended up right around Nathan Carnes, who's on the DL right now for the Royals.
4. It hits the guy that's already on the DL.
Yep.
Take the target off your back. So the damage is already done.
They protected the fans with that net, but
that worked. You're right.
Didn't help out Carnes. 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss. Minor comes in and strikes out the first batter he faces. And we've seen about 50-50 around the league in stadiums that have the net above the dugouts. Minute Maid Park does. Kauffman Stadium here does. We've also seen our share of stadiums that still have not adopted that. I would think that would be 100% in the next couple of seasons. Yuli Gurriel takes a called strike. Mike Minor, 29-year-old left-hander. Dealt with a slight tear in his labrum of his left shoulder and hadn't pitched in the major leagues since he was with the Braves in 2014. Gurriel sends one into center. Lorenzo Cain saunters over and makes the play for out number 2. Here's Alex Bregman with 2 outs and nobody on. And Minor comes in and gets a 1-2-3 inning on the pop-up by Bregman, put away by Hosmer. And the Astros are out in the 6th inning. Through 5.5, it's 7-2 KC. Houston 7-2. The beautiful waterfalls here at Kauffman Stadium. Plummer said he was going to take a jump in there if the Astros won this series and swept and continued that winning streak up to 14 games. Unfortunately, that will not happen. Luke Gregerson on in the bottom half of the 6th inning.
Dang it. I was ready, too.
You were ready. You were committed. 14-game winning streak.
Oh, kidding me? It would have been cannonball time.
Gregerson comes on for the 26th time this year. Luke last pitched in that monsoon at Arlington. If you look at pitch trackers from that game, you can ignore everything from what Luke Gregerson threw, because he was just trying to find a dry baseball to throw with 5 fingers over the plate. He didn't really throw pitches per se, and fortunately the Astros were able to get out of town with a sweep. But here it's been Astros for the first game and a half, and now all Royals for the last game plus. Ramon Torres towards third, and Bregman can't barehand it. Torres in his first major league game has his 2nd hit, this one an infield hit to start the 6th.
It's going to look like a rocket in the scorebook tomorrow. The speed of Torres, I think, sped up the clock inside of Bregman's head, telling him to go with the bare hand. But a good way to avoid getting an error on your record is go after it with the bare hand.
Gregerson, the 4th pitcher of the game for the Astros, again all coming out of the bullpen. Dion Diaz, Tony Sipp, Michael Feliz preceding him. We know James Hoyt more than likely will not be available tonight. Chris Davinsky threw more than an inning last night. And Blummer, as you try and figure out things here the rest of the way, I would think there's at least a discussion if this game doesn't get any closer of, do you have to throw a position player at some point? How does that even work if you are in one of these games where does the manager, does the pitching coach go around how does that work?
Well, my goodness, another base hit. What basically happens is you hear the conversation happening, and as a player, you know when your team gets in these situations too, and it's often joked about, you know, if it happens, I want to be the guy. If it happens, it could be this guy. Until it happens, you really don't want it to happen. And when that pitching coach or whoever it is, the bench coach, comes down looking for guys, it's like turning the light on in a dirty apartment and the cockroaches go fleeing. Because there are guys underneath the bench going, don't pick me, don't pick me, don't pick me. Whereas there are some guys that actually want to go out there and throw pitches. I was one of the guys that I didn't want to get anywhere near that mound. I did not want to be standing 55 feet away from a guy with a wood bat swinging it as hard as he could at my non-trained pitches. But there are guys that want to go out there and do it. There are guys that we've seen do it. But it's not an enviable position to be in as a team or as an individual.
We saw it happen earlier in this road trip. Chris Jimenez pitched an inning for the Minnesota Twins. He's done that a few times this year.
And the funny thing is like if you come to a ballpark and you watch guys get loose before games, you will see the position players playing catch with each other. And after they get done getting loose, they'll start to throw pitches at each other. Everybody thinks they've got the best two-seam fastball ever invented. Everybody thinks they've got the best knuckleball ever thrown. So it's kind of funny to watch those guys. But until you actually get on the bump and try it, everything looks good.
There's a swing and a miss from Jorge Bonifacio, 1-1. And it may not happen in this game. We're just looking ahead because you do have to play this game out, and hopefully your offense can come back down 5. It's happened before. But at the same time, you have to consider your bullpen for tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And that's something AJ and Brent Strom have probably talked about at length tonight. Now it's 2-1.
Well, I think given the situation today, especially after Dallas Keuchel walks out of the bullpen, I guarantee you that that was a conversation. Understanding that a reliever just getting called up from AAA is getting his big league start in, there had to be that conversation. We can use this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. And once we get past that point, we have to have somebody available just to go out there.
Now it's 2-2. Occasionally, if you get the news early enough in the day before your starter, who is due later on in the rotation, throws his bullpen session, they can hold him back and say, we may need you in this game. Instead of your bullpen session, we may need you in this game. But because, as we saw earlier in the video, Keuchel went out just minutes before the game expecting to start, that luxury was not afforded the Astros tonight. 2-2 pitches in the dirt is 3-2. So Luke pitched in the last 2 games of that Rangers series. In the air center field, Marisnick is under it. And that's the first out of the 6th.
The Astros and Rangers will face off again at Minute Maid Park from June 12th through June 14th. For only $99, you can purchase ticket packages for all 3 games with a chance to win signed memorabilia and batting practice passes for the June 14th game. Visit Astros.com/beatTheRangers to get your tickets.
There was one superstition in the broadcast booth we didn't talk about last night, and almost every announcer adheres to it, with rare exceptions. Not going to name.
You told me you changed your socks. That's what that smell was. I'm just messing.
Not going to name names. Steve Sparks. When a game is going quickly.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's not just a broadcaster's thing. It's a thing around the trucks. It's everybody that works
in the dugouts. They're having that same conversation.
You don't say anything.
No.
The game's going quickly, like an hour in, and we're in the 5th inning. You don't say a word, except for Sparky.
Every single time.
And he does it for effect. But he'll actually run into the booth and say, man, this game is flying.
He's that guy.
He is that guy.
Yeah. He will come flying in, hit me in the back of the neck and go, game's flying, and then run out.
And then you hate him the rest of the night if the game drags.
Well, and immediately, about 6 pitches later, there's 8 pitching changes in 1 inning.
0-2 the count to Lorenzo Cain. Sparky in the radio booth tonight with a birthday boy, Robert Ford. Happy birthday to Robert. A little Cheshire grin whenever he says that, because he knows we don't want to hear it. 0-2 pitch. He fights it off down the right field line, and it's foul.
Yeah, there hasn't been many times that we've been, wow, Sparky, good call. Robert Ford on your screen right. Happy birthday to Robert.
Oh, with a Syracuse shirt on his birthday.
Represent. He's back in a place he spent some years doing pre and post, a lot of radio work for the Kansas City Royals.
Homecoming for Robert Ford. Yeah, we like Sparky every other minute of the day, except for when he says that. 0-2 pitch to Lorenzo Cain.
Sparky, yeah, we haven't seen him yet today, in case anybody's wondering.
Yeah, this game is not flying, if you haven't noticed. Swing and a miss, strikeout number 1 for Luke Gregerson, 2 outs in the 6th.
It's good to see Luke getting a handle on that slider again. Good pitch to Lorenzo. He's looking to be consistent and try and maintain that.
Here's Eric Hosmer looking for his first hit. Ground out, fly out, strikeout. Royals have scored in 4 consecutive innings, 2 in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd, 2 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th. They lead at 7-2. Luke Gregerson trying to shut them down in the 6th inning. The guy who did some damage against Luke in a game earlier this year at Minute Maid Park. Really messed up Gregerson's ERA for the first month or so when the Royals scored 6 against the Astros in that game. Ball inside, says Doug Eddings, 1-1. We've heard a few umpires this year with their calls of balls, and they will give the location. Is that standard, or is that just umpire to umpire? We'll say inside, outside, low, high.
It's usually umpire to umpire, depending on the mood they're in, but they'll let you know.
Now Gregerson ahead, 1-2. Not that players agree with them all the time, but at least they'll find out where the umpire thought that pitch was if it's not in the zone. 1-2 the count.
Well, you'll see the pitchers a lot asking, was it inside, was it outside, do you have that down, do you have it up? So I think it's a preemptive strike, more or less. Not in the sense that it is actually a strike, but it's just beating them to the question.
Swing and a miss. Hosmer goes down swinging. Gregerson strikes out Lorenzo Cain and Eric Hosmer to end the 6th. It's still 7-2 KC.
So far on this road trip, and have had some of their best offensive nights of the season on this particular road trip. And you wonder why. Are they doing anything extra? Are they hitting any more? Well, it's actually the opposite. They've hit less than they have really at any other point of the season. Only one time on this entire road trip have the Astros taken regular batting practice on the field. Now, some guys still get their work in the cages like they usually do, but they are actually using that time on the field to keep their defense sharp, guys. And AJ really believes that hitting as much as people are used to isn't always best for guys, especially when you get to this point of the season where maybe your body starts to find a little lull. Now, for the pitchers, this is probably better for them than anybody because they don't have to go out and shag. So it's good rest for those guys. But it is good for these Astros who've had good offensive nights to do so when they're taking optional BP. Gives them the confidence knowing that they don't have to go out there and take so many swings on the field and still have a productive night.
Oh, yeah. Poor pitchers have to shag.
I knew you were going there.
No, it's actually, I think it's been a genius move by AJ Hinch. It's obviously worked out because these guys aren't wasting any hits on the field during BP. But Jake getting robbed right there by Escobar, who's having a series of his life right now.
Hat tip after that defensive play as he robs Marisnik of a leadoff base hit in the 7th. That had some serious exit velocity. Speared by the Royals shortstop, 1 out.
I've heard stories over the years about guys, veteran guys, who wouldn't take BP, but every once in a while. So it's a lot about routine and things like that. I actually appreciate the fact that those guys are going out there and practicing the defense and keeping that up.
Springer hits it hard toward right field, and that's beyond Bonifacio and all the way to the wall. So a couple of line drives off the bat of the Astros in this 7th inning. Springer has his first hit, and he continues his hitting streak, which is now up to 12 games.
Good piece of hitting going away, other way by George. Sometimes that pitch will let you know what to do with it. And that was one of them. Fastball up and away, just go with it. Obviously, George has plenty of pop, able to drive it past the right fielder. Jake Marisnick's line drive you were talking about had serious exit velocity, 108.9.
Little elevation. That's a home run. Julie, what else do you have for us?
Well, I was going to say, you know, we say optional BP. There are guys that continue to take BP on the field. One of them being Jose Altuve. Does not miss a day. Takes swings inside the cage as well. It's just a part of his routine. He feels like he needs to do it, but that's one guy it's really hard to tell him to back off a little bit.
He is baseball's version of a gym rat.
Yeah, exactly. Another guy that was like that I played with here with Houston was Hunter Pence. He was relentless in refining that swing. He would come in between after he'd run off the field, drop his glove in the dugout, run into the tunnel and start hitting. I got up. Me and Jason Michaels got him one day. We said, one of these days you're gonna have to stay out here and cheer for us.
Bonifacio covers some ground in right and makes the play on Josh Reddick for out number 2.
Altuve is the opposite. He gets his work in at the appropriate time, and during the game we've seen him on the bench plenty high-five and having a good time. But Hunter Pence, it was all about that swing.
And an unorthodox swing.
I was going to say he's the only one that could practice that too.
Well, AJ had a theory about taking hacks in the cage underneath as opposed to on the field. I don't know if you adhere to this, but it was kind of an interesting thought. He thinks that the line drives that you hit trying to go back up the middle in a batting cage promotes a better swing than if you're out on the stadium field and you're kind of swinging for the fences a lot during batting practice.
No, that's a common mentality when you're hitting off the tee, if you're taking soft toss, if you're taking front toss, or you're hitting off a live pitcher. Every hitter wants to see the ball travel, and the only way you can see the ball travel is in the cage is by hitting it up the middle, because you've seen those narrow batting tunnels, maybe about 15 feet wide and about 70-80 feet long, and that's the only chance you have to see the ball travel. So what you're trying to do is let the ball get deep and stay true on plane through the baseball and hit it up the middle and watch that line drive go.
Astros scoring 8 runs a game during their 11-game winning streak, so the optional BP is doing just fine. 1-1 the count to Jose Altuve. Altuve, if you count all the swings that are taken on this team, would definitely be the team leader and maybe the major league leader. On the ground foul. Had Yuli Gurriel diving out of the way. It's 2-2.
Got to block that and keep that ball from getting to Julia, man.
Okay, Julia?
Good.
Yuli bailed on you.
I know, right? There's so many things in front of me, but still I found myself almost on the ground.
Nobody wants to be in the way of a moving baseball.
No, I've been there before.
Yeah, we don't need to have that.
Got me last year.
3-2 pitch. Saw a recent clip on a well-placed clipboard by our buddy Craig Minervini with the Miami Marlins that saved him on a line drive off the bat of Paul Goldschmidt. Dangerous territory down there. And that's ball 4 to Altuve. So Altuve flips the arm guard away and he heads down to first base. He's on for the 2nd straight time. And 2 on with 2 outs. If the Astros are going to get back in this thing, it may be up to Carlos Correa. But before we see Correa come to the plate, Ned Yost takes a slow walk out. Correa will not face the left-hander Mike Minor. Instead, he'll face a righty. We'll tell you about him when we come back. Kansas City leading Houston 7-2 in the 7th.
out in front. And it's already time, baseball fans. The 2017 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot is here. Head to astros.com/vote to choose your ASG-worthy stars and send them to the All-Star Game on July 11th in Miami, presented by MasterCard. All right, it is time to reveal the winner of our Chevy Stroh poll this evening. We're talking about All-Stars. The Astros could basically be an All-Star team with how well everyone's playing so far this year. So we asked you how many Astros should make the All-Star team. All right, we've got 50% saying 3 to 4, 43% saying more than 4.
Huh.
Who are the 7%?
Rangers fans.
No, the people who a little more reality, watch all the reality TV and just understand that popularity sometimes gets involved.
I'm a little surprised at that. I thought for sure it'd be 5 or more than 1. I would like to know of those people that voted for 3 to 4, who between Correa, McCullers, Keuchel, Springer, Altuve, Gonzalez. 0-1 count to Carlos Correa, who's 0 for 3, facing Peter Moylan.
Wasn't it Kansas City one year that just went on this absolute Twitter Royals voting bonanza, and they had
every position
guys hitting 200 leading the way in popular vote?
At one point they had every position leading a couple of weeks to go.
That proves the point.
It's away. It's 2-1. I will say this. I think the fan voting has been more and more representative over the last few years. I think they are paying a little more attention to who's doing well. Two and 2 now to Correa. Moylan is very tough on right-handers because of that 3/4 sidearm delivery. And he also likes to throw that sweeping slider with 2 strikes to righties. There it is. He gets Correa swinging for the final out of the 7th. 7th inning stretch time here at Kauffman Stadium, with the Royals leading 7-2.
On a defensive clinic, ranging far to his left, showing that Derek Jeter jump throw, plenty of it on there to help out Will Harris. Last night you saw him making a big play behind Paulino, getting him through 6 by laying out against Lorenzo Cain. But a highly athletic and tall shortstop. How about the heady play also? Not only can he do it physically, he's using the brain a little bit too. Noticing Salvador Perez loping towards home, took advantage of that. But a great heads-up play by the young shortstop. He is fun to watch.
Carlos Correa Quite a month of May. Absolutely love to watch him play anytime, anywhere, and happy to see him on a daily basis with the Houston Astros doing his thing as Salvi Perez starts off the bottom half of the 7th inning. Salvador is 2 for 3, couple of hits and a couple of runs scored. Luke Gregerson in the 2nd inning of work. Luke is trying to get through 2 innings for A.J. Hinch, who's really had to piece this thing together. Dion Diaz for 2 2/3. Tony Sipp for an inning. Michael Feliz for an inning and a third. And now asking Luke to pitch the 7th after getting through the 6th. Luke is up to 22 pitches right now. A lot of people are voting 5 times a day for this Astros All-Star selection, and we appreciate all those votes.
Yeah, keep it up.
We're about roughly a month away from announcing that All-Star team. This year's game's going to be played down in Miami, and with the best record in baseball by a large margin, you would anticipate the Astros would have multiple selections.
I heard the winner of the home run derby gets to take the sculpture home.
I thought Jake Marisnick already won that.
Do you think anybody would try and hit a home run if they knew that?
Here's the 1-2 pitch foul back. Let's take a look at the All-Star starters with Salvador Perez at the plate. So
you look at him.
You've got Aaron Judge with the most votes. He's having a great year. And you've got Mike Trout. And then Michael Brantley's got 554. George Springer is in the low 400, so he's not that far away. Altuve almost $1 million.
So you got to get rid of that one. He's on the DL with that ligament tearing that thumb, so might be a couple opportunities for George to sneak in there. Just put up the numbers. He'd be a fun guy for me in the home run derby too.
Absolutely.
He has a great pop. Puts on a pretty good show in BP when he wants to.
Think of Springer, Aaron Judge, and Giancarlo Stanton are all in the home run derby. You can fill it with anybody else, and I'm going to watch.
Absolutely. That's a great call, actually. The Springer shows he can compete. Hit a 473-foot bomb in Minnesota.
Perez pops one up. Carlos Correa, who just showed all his defensive work. That one's an easy one. First out, bottom half of the 7th inning.
Oh, okay. Never again. You just jinxed it. We just talked about it. Back at you there, David.
Mike Moustakas the batter. 1 out, bottom of the 7th inning.
Jinxing the jinxer. How about that? Sorry. Try and rein that back in. It's been a pretty good inning for me.
Called strike, 1-1. Luke threw 23 pitches in that rainstorm on Sunday. I'm sure he's had too many outings where he's thrown more than 30 as Correa in a shift gets Moustakas for the 2nd out. So Luke, the veteran, knows what this team needs, and that is at least a couple of innings out of him, and he's been able to get through these first two batters, Perez and Moustakas. Now face Chesler Cuthbert. Slider for a strike. And it's 0-2. Luke threw 31 pitches in a game in Minnesota where he went 2 innings on this road trip on the 29th of May. So 31 was his high on the season until tonight, now making his 32nd pitch. Outside and low for a ball. It's 1-2. The 2 innings also the longest outing of his season in that game at Target Field. The Astros won that game 16-8. Houston winning all 3 in Minnesota, all 3 in Texas, and the first one here in Kansas City. Swinging a miss. Cuthbert goes down swinging. Gregerson with the strikeout on the slider gets through the 7th in 1-2-3 fashion. (7-2) Kansas City. We head to the 8th inning from Kauffman Stadium. Connect to Astros baseball all season with the MLB.com at-bat mobile app. Customize the app for the Astros and get awesome stuff all year long by subscribing to at-bat premium. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Download MLB.com at-bat today, the #1 app for live Astros baseball. On to pitch for the Kansas City Royals is the left-hander Scott Alexander. Alexander just called back up from AAA Omaha. He was on a rehab assignment after being on the 10-day DL. Throws a lot of sinkers. Sinker comes in around 92, 93. Occasional four-seam fastball, and every once in a while a slider. There is that sinker into Carlos Beltran, as Carlos is 1 for 3 on the night with a double and a run scored. Astros down 7-2, batting in the 8th. Alexander coming off the DL out of that right hamstring strain. 5 rehab outings with Omaha. Pitched earlier this year with the Royals. Done a nice job for them since all the way back at the end of August last year. He's got a 0.89 ERA in his last 18 outings going back to last season. Foul tip. Caught by Salvador Perez for the strikeout. Alexander strikes out Carlos Beltran.
Building Champions is presented by AvidCare. Comparing 11-game win streaks between the Astros of 2017 and the Cubs of 2016. Runs scored. You're going to see a lot of these offensive numbers piling up for the Houston Astros, even better than what the Chicago Cubs were doing. And the biggest number is probably this one down here. The Starting rotation for the Cubs was very good. Their bullpen was very good. So they didn't need to score as many runs as the Astros did. But the Astros were no slouches as far as ERA was concerned. Still pretty good, but the offense did a tremendous job of coming back and winning some of those games.
Brian McCann having the best offensive night for the Houston Astros, and he continues it, picking up his 3rd hit. He has 3 of the Astros' 8 hits. McCann with a couple of RBIs tonight in the 7-2 game. Well, McCann seemed to have found something during the series in Kansas City, and prior to that he was, since that DL stint where he was on the 7-day concussion DL, kind of looking for it, and it's good to see him hitting the ball to left field on that last hit, and he's had a double off the wall in left field earlier in the series.
Yeah, him and Josh Reddick for me. Josh needed some hits to start falling. He has been swinging the bat well, but they're both getting starts against left-handed starter today and Jason Vargas, which I thought was pretty interesting, and they put together some great at-bats. And sometimes some of those left-handed hitters want to see that left-handed pitcher just in order to keep that front shoulder in and go the other way like you're talking about.
Here's Yuli Gurriel. Swings through that pitch. It's 0-2. We may not end up seeing a position player pitch tonight in this 7-2 game. Saw Luke Gregerson get through 2 innings, and the Astros may go to another arm in the bottom half of the 8th inning. But if a position player needed a pitch, wonder who our fans would think.
Yeah, who you putting in? Who's getting the call?
Let us know on Twitter at Root Sports SW, at Blummer27, at Real Todd Callis. Who would you pitch? I mean, you got to consider some things. Do you want to? Can't be a guy that is a star, you would think. One of your guys you don't want to have the possibility. Pretty nice play there by Scott Alexander to get Yuli Gurriel. May not come to it tonight, but at some point you may need an arm.
Well, let's take the injury situation out of it, and just let's just go ahead and open it up, because we know those guys aren't going to get in there. But I mean,
okay, so just for fun,
just for the heck of it,
if you weren't concerned about health on your team,
last game of the season,
you could pitch one of your position players, who would it be?
I don't know. I'm thinking about who's got jet fuel. I know Marwin's got a hose. Jake's got a cannon. He's been clocked at close to 100 miles an hour, if not over, I believe, in the outfield by some of that StatCast information.
High chopper off the plate, and Cuthbert not in time. Infield hit for Alex Bregman. Bregman with the 2nd hit of the inning, and that is Alex's 1st hit of the night.
Good hustle by Alex. Can't give in. You got to continue to fight through these at-bats and fight through these games, because you never know what's going to happen. Now the Astros offense is notorious for striking late.
Down 5 in the 8th. That happened earlier in this road trip. I don't want to leave Julie out either. At Julia Morales also on Twitter.
Oh, trust me, you didn't have to say that. They're going to tweet her before us anyways.
Jake Marisnick hit a line drive over 105 miles an hour last time up. Unfortunately, it was caught nicely on the backhand by Alcides Escobar. So Jake's still looking for his 1st hit. Home run here could change the complex of this game. Astros down 5 with 4 outs to work with, a count of 1-1.
Getting a lot of Marisnick and Marwin Gonzalez. A couple of Gattises sprinkled in there. Got a Josh Reddick.
Reddick would be so intense on the mound.
Well, he might. I mean, that windup would be like Herbowski.
Yeah. There's a ground ball, base hit into right field. In to score Brian McCann. It's now a 7-3 game. Jake Marisnick with a 2-out RBI hit. And the Astros now have the tying run on deck in this 7-3 game. And the top of the order due up in George Springer.
Refusing to give away those ABs. Continuing to fight, continuing to put together at bats.
Waiting for the big 8th inning, sitting in Minneapolis. That's a good place to be. That's where the Astros put up 11.
That's a good one.
And they have the right guys due up now. George Springer is at the plate.
Hey, what place are the Astros in from the 7th inning on as far as Major League ranks? Trying to figure it out.
Can you illustrate it for us?
It's a great big number 1. My goodness, these guys have been good, and it's a lot of credit to the depth of the lineup. I think it's a great deal of credit to Dave Hudgens and their mentality of not giving away ABs, not expanding the zone, forcing pitchers to pitch, and making great contact when they have the opportunity on strikes. But these guys just do not give up. They refuse to.
Well, this game will all of a sudden change in a hurry if Springer can do something here. And George, with runners in scoring position and 2 outs, the best in the game. Astros now with 10 hits and 3 runs. And a 2-0 count on Springer. And Alexander just coming off the disabled list. He has pitched with the Royals for parts of the last 3 years. And tough on righties, but chopping hit by Alex Bregman, a line drive hit by Jake Marisnick, and now Springer with a 2-0 count. 3-0. All of a sudden, fans here at Kauffman Stadium are getting a little antsy.
Getting a little bit of their own medicine. Not too many blasts, just a couple of knocks. Infield hit variety for Alex Bregman.
1 pitch away from bringing the tying run to the plate, and it's ball 4. 4-pitch walk. Astros have the bases loaded, and they have brought the tying run to the plate. Josh Reddick will not face the lefty Scott Alexander. Out of the dugout comes Ned Yost. He's going back to his bullpen. The Astros scoring a run in the inning. 3 on base. We'll tell you about the new reliever when we come back. Run to the plate with Josh Reddick as he faces the new pitcher for the Kansas City Royals.
Joakim Soria, 26 appearance. He's yet to record a record. That ERA at 3.75, not too dazzling numbers. Has a very good changeup, fastball. That ERA at home, 8.18. See the Astros take advantage of that right now with the bases juiced.
Facing Josh Reddick, who does have a career home run against Joakim Soria. Reddick 2 for 7 with a home run in his career against this Royals right-hander. And he swings for the first pitch and fouls it back. Soria pitched in the game Monday night. Retired Carlos Beltran to end the 8th. Reddick 1 for 4 tonight, singled in the first inning to extend his streak to reaching base to 14 straight games. Down in the dirt, 1-1. Astros trailed 7-2. A 2-out infield hit by Alex Bregman, followed up by a RBI base hit by Jake Marisnick, and a walk to George Springer. On the ground towards short, off the glove of Escobar. 1 run scores. Marisnick will score. It's a 7-5 game as the Astros keep battling here in the 8th.
Wow, normally a reliable Escobar at shortstop got a little lackadaisical on the backhand. It ate him up. Astros taking advantage of mistakes. Load up the bases. Ground ball to the right-hand side. Looked like he was in decent position, but kind of fielded the ball a little bit back in his stance instead of trying to go out and get the good hop. That glove was a little too close to his foot for me. The ball traveled a little bit longer than he anticipated instead of trying to go out there and get that short hop.
Big error charged to Alcides Escobar. Now the tying runs are on base and a strike to Jose Altuve. Astros rallying for 3, all the runs scoring with 2 outs in the 8th inning. Altuve's been on base his last 2 times with an infield single and a walk. A rare error by the Kansas City Royals and a costly one. It's now a 2-run game. Scratch any talk of a position player in this game. Ken Giles is warming up in the Astros bullpen as this is now a 7-5 game. Gregerson giving the Astros 2 shutout innings out of the bullpen, and now the offense has rallied back. Strike, it's 1-2.
I don't think that was a strike. Maybe just clipping that inside edge by a couple seams.
Quick pitch action. It looked like that was almost a balk. I'm not sure if Soria came to a set. He bounced that one. It's 2-2. Yes, he did.
Yeah, that was a funky delivery.
Line drive foul. Altuve has now seen 5 pitches in this at bat from Soria. Battle continues. Usually the more pitches in the at-bat, advantage moves over to the hitter. Altuve's fouled off a couple of 2-strike offerings. Two-out error has prolonged this inning. The Astros have done a great job of taking advantage of extra outs this season. In fact, they have as many unearned runs scored as an offense against the opposition as anybody in baseball. 2 more in this inning. Perez and Soria with a conference. On the ground towards third. Cuthbert races towards the bag and barely beats Springer to third. That's the final out of the inning. The Astros score 3. They're down 7-5.
Silver lining in this game right now is what Luke Gregerson came out and did, eating up 2 innings, trying to pick up this bullpen and get some outs, and he did just that. Trying to correct things. He's had a rough stretch, but here we saw a very good Singer. Seems to have had that slider back, getting 3 punch outs in that 2-inning appearance. He only gave up 2 hits and a bunch of zeros otherwise, so good outing for Luke Gregerson, and deservedly so.
Retired the last 6 he faced and gave the Astros a fighting chance. Houston scoring 3 in the top half of the 8th inning to make it a 2-run game, and now Ken Giles will try and keep it right there.
We all know what happened last night. Ken Giles, the slider wasn't what he wanted it to be, but we saw that electric fastball at a close to 100 miles an hour. See if he starts things off with that heater.
He does, and he gets a foul ball off the bat of Alcides Escobar. Escobar, a couple of RBIs, a couple of hits, runs scored. It'll be the 8-9 one-hitters, Escobar, Ramon Torres, and Whit Merrifield. Popped in the air into left. Josh Reddick waits for it, and that's 1 out. Mentioned the heavy load on the bullpen. Giles is another guy that's been used a lot. Now 4 appearances for Giles in the last 6 days. Also warmed up a couple of times. Did not get into the game on Monday night. AJ keeps track of that as well. So Giles has been used extensively the past 6 nights. Here's Ramon Torres. Torres having himself quite a major league debut. A couple of hits and RBI. Takes a called strike. Torres was hitting well at AAA Omaha before he was called up today. .327 there with 5 home runs and 34 runs batted in. On the ground towards Altuve. 2 outs. So good quick work by Ken Giles so far, getting 2 outs, throwing all strikes to this point. Closers warming up for Kansas City, Kelvin Herrera. So in this 7-2 game with 2 outs and a runner on second base in the 8th inning, the Astros able to use The Royals' 8th inning setup man Joakim Soria, and now their closer Kelvin Herrera. Ball outside. It's 1-0. Whit Merrifield the batter. First pitch out of the zone for Giles after getting 2 outs on 4 pitches. Looking ahead to the Astros in the 9th inning. Due up Carlos Correa, Carlos Beltran, Brian McCann. McCann has a 3-hit night going so far. If it gets any further than that, Yuli Gurriel, Alex Bregman, Jake Marisnick. Marwin Gonzalez on the bench, not sure if he's available.
Well, interestingly enough, the last time the Astros saw Herrera, Alex Bregman pinch hit for Marwin in that game where he hurt his hand, got a base hit. McCann reached via the error, and then Yuli took Herrera deep for a 3-run jack.
See if we can repeat history as Josh Reddick makes the play for the final out of the 8th inning. We head to the 9th. Astros down 2. By Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. We head to the 9th inning. Astros back in this game, down 7-5. Trying to come back on the Royals like Kansas City did on them last night. And the Royals will go to their closer here in the 9th inning, Kelvin Herrera.
Power fastball, power slider. Going to be working with a new battery mate, Drew Butera. Kind of interesting. Salvador Perez does not come out of games very often. Takes a lot of pride in playing those games. But we talked about the first game of this series that Herrera came in, had the opportunity to face a couple of guys at the bottom of this order, and Alex Bregman got a base hit off him. McCann reached on an error by Eric Hosmer, and then Yuli Gurriel got himself a hanging slider and smashed it into that left field bullpen for a 3-run homer to ice that first game.
So see if Carlos Correa can get this thing rolling. Correa looking for his first hit of the night. Correa had a 10-game hitting streak snapped in the opener of this series. Came back last night with a couple of hits, so he's hit in 11 out of the last 12 games, trying to make it 12 out of 13. Swings the first pitch fastball and fouls it off, 0-1. Herrera becomes the 6th pitcher of the night used by Ned Yost.
Same amount of pitchers that the Houston Astros have used, and one of them didn't even pitch. Dallas Keuchel, technically not used in this game. He is still available if he feels good enough, but I'm not sure that he's going to come out here and throw a pitch anytime. But as far as I have it written down in my scorebook, he's used the same amount of pitchers.
Get ahead of Correa 0-2, and now a conference on the mound. Yeah, the Astros used Diamondbacks Diaz to start the game. He went 2 2/3 innings. Tony Sipp for an inning. Michael Feliz for an inning and a third. Luke Gregerson with a big 2 innings, and then Ken Giles a 1-2-3-8. Base runner will bring the tying run to the plate. 1-2. Called third strike. Correa goes down looking. Herrera strikes out Carlos Correa to start the ninth.
Pretty nasty heater down around the knees at 99 miles an hour. A little bit of run to it.
Carlos Beltran has a double and 4 at bats. .98 fouled off. And it's 0-2. Two batters, 2 strikeouts for Kelvin Herrera.
Our player of the game is going to be brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. It's Brian McCann. Got himself a good little run, and today he had a great start to it. Hitting a home run, helping the Astros cause. He backed that up with another base hit, left on Jason Vargas. Drove in a run with that one also. Also had himself a 3rd hit in the 8th inning. So having himself a good night, looking to try and continue it right here.
McCann has not had a 4-hit game as an Astro. Does have 12 4-hit games in his career. We'd like to give Yuli Gurriel a chance to see Kelvin Herrera again. Yuli with the home run on Monday night against the Royals closer. At that point, Herrera was just getting work in with his team down 4-3. Hadn't pitched in 6 days. McCann with a 1-0 count. Into center field. Kane on the move. This ball's going to fall in for a hit. So the Astros do get the tying run to home plate. And it is the guy that hit a home run against Kelvin Herrera Monday night, Yuli Gurriel.
Looking back at Yuli's home run off Kelvin Herrera. Another closer with a hanging slider. This time the Astros get a chance to take advantage of it. Yuli getting a hold of that, launching it into the back of that bullpen of the Kansas City Royals, much to the delight of the guys in the dugout. They'd love to see a repeat performance of that.
Tried to hold up on the fastball, and he doesn't. Or actually, that was the slider. 0-1.
Yeah, you see the numbers pop up at 91, 92 miles an hour. You assume it's a fastball, but not your average pitcher on the mound. That was a slider.
McCann will take second on the pitch in the dirt. It's 1-1. Yuli Gurriel with 6 home runs on the season. Hit one on Sunday to wrap up that series against the Rangers, and then hit one here on Monday. One and two. He got him. Kelvin Herrera comes in and picks up the save. Kansas City Royals win the third game of this 4-game series 7-5. And in the process, the Royals have won the season series. They're up 4 games to 2 with 1 more to go tomorrow. So after snapping the Astros' 11-game winning streak, Kansas City comes back to win again tonight. Final score 7-5. We'll have plenty coming up, including our post-game show right after this.